In this video, I want to talk a little bit about why YouTube in particular could unlock a certain level of success for somebody, for certain types of people who want to do YouTube. A lot of people try YouTube, a lot of people fail at YouTube, just kind of like real estate in general. A lot of people try real estate and a lot of people fail at real estate. But why could YouTube unlock that next level of success for somebody who is really committed to it? Let's talk about it. How's it going, friends? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run multiple real estate teams around the United States. And on this channel, we're talking about doing things differently. We're talking about personal branding, and we're not talking about that dinosaur shit that other people are talking about. And really how I want this video to work is I want to talk about like, why did I choose YouTube? Because I really doubled down on YouTube within the first month or so of starting real estate. The writing was on the wall that was the thing that I was going to be best at, right? That was the thing that I was going to be able to do at a high level or at the level that I wanted to do. And there's all this other options in real estate, as you probably know. There's a million ways to do it. Probably 999,999 of them I didn't really want to do that much. They didn't seem like the kind of work that I wanted to be doing on a daily basis. Although I will say that things like cold calling or door knocking, those things make my skin crawl. But I was so sure, and I had proper decided that I was going to make real estate work, right? I just was like, I'm gonna figure this out. And if it takes door knocking or cold calling, I'm gonna figure that out. I'll do another video actually on kind of why I chose real estate, right? Why did I go all in on real estate at the point that I did? But that's a different video. And right now I'm on vacation. I know I'm working on vacation. I haven't worked that much. Right now I'm in Belgium. We went to Iceland for 3 days. I proposed to my girlfriend. We are now engaged. She is now my fiance. That's a very exciting thing. And then from there, we went to Amsterdam. We spent like 6 nights in Amsterdam. Really nice, really awesome, sort of like being immersed in that culture, very different than Iceland, pretty much the exact opposite from Iceland. From Amsterdam, right now we're driving to Paris, and we're in Belgium in between. We tried to keep the drives somewhat reasonable, but we're in this beautiful place in Belgium, and I thought it would be a cool place to make a video. I probably should have made more, because like every angle of this house is insane. It's truly a beautiful place, but you know, sleep. So why did I choose YouTube, and why might you choose YouTube? First of all, YouTube is what I consume. You can ask my fiance, I default to YouTube. She has to be like, maybe Netflix? And I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. But I default to watching things on YouTube, and I like the sort of flexibility. I like the infinite nature of YouTube. I also like the searchability. If I have a question, I don't ask Google, right? I ask YouTube, almost always. Unless it's like how to say hi to somebody in Belgium. Maybe I'll give that a Google. But then I almost always go, yeah, I probably should have just watched a video on this because it's better. Turns out, didn't know this necessarily, Belgium, there isn't a Belgium language or a Belgian language. They speak French, they speak German, and they speak Dutch, but mostly Dutch and French. Those are the things that I learned. I guess I learned on while I'm traveling. And so because I consume it, I think that I know it better, right? I know it better than the average person who just heard that it's a good place to get clients, right? So I'm like, yes, I am a fan, a consumer of YouTube. And so I understand certain things about YouTube. And I kind of think of it as like, YouTube is like my native platform. That's kind of from the audio world. You would kind of talk about is a certain file type native to a certain platform. That feels that way for me and YouTube. It's the thing that I'm just the most familiar with. And secondly, I had made a target audience, right? I had made an avatar. And I have a video on this channel about how to make an avatar and why to make an avatar. I'm a really big believer in that process. I have talked about it on this channel quite a bit. And I just really think that it's an important conversation to have with yourself early on to sort of decide, who am I talking to, right? Who is the person that I want to be working with? If you say anybody, that's not an avatar, okay? That's not how that works. And you'll have a hard time focusing on any kind of content or any kind of track if that's how you're going to approach things. Is I'll sell to anybody. It's like, sure, so will I. I will help anybody, but I'm not advertising or talking to anybody because that doesn't work. So I will put a link in the description to that video. There's also an avatar sheet. I would check that out. I think it's a cool video, but even more importantly, I think the worksheet and that process is really, really important. Another reason I chose YouTube is because it's searchable, and I like that. It's not just searchable. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, second to Google, and it's owned by Google. So it's not just the second largest search engine, it's attached to the first largest search engine. I mean, if you ever look up the video tab on Google, it's mostly YouTube. But let's be honest, that's where most people are looking up videos. There's also an element to the searchable nature of it that I really like, which is that I can sort of reverse engineer video ideas by searching for things. That is how my brain works. When I'm curious, I type a question in or I type an idea in to YouTube, and I just get after it, right? I just start to like even figure out what videos are people even making on this, right? What are some of the questions that other people are even asking? People that maybe know more than me. I was looking into buying a vehicle pretty recently, and I watched maybe 40, 50 hours of video on that particular vehicle. I didn't even know what to search. I just put in the name of the vehicle because it's kind of a unique vehicle. And then I just watched a ton of videos because people would make videos about things that I didn't even understand were something to, take note of because I wasn't that deep into that world yet. Another thing that I love about YouTube, and another part of why I chose it, and I would say why I choose it as a viewer, and ultimately then what led me to choose it as, sort of a place to make content. It's getting a little blown out in here, but what are you gonna do? And so that searchable nature is not only helpful to my target audience, but it's helpful to me to reverse engineer ideas for videos, to come up with video ideas, and to also figure out what questions people are asking, right? I think in order to know what answers to give, you first have to know what questions are being asked. And YouTube is really powerful in sort of helping a person figure that out. Another thing that I love about YouTube is that they actually reward longer videos. I think there was a while where YouTube lost its way and it really got focused on shorts. And all of the creators who I was watching were talking about the importance of YouTube Shorts. And they were also questioning it. They were like, is this something that I need to be doing? Because they're like, I like making 10 to 20 minute videos, right? Do I need to focus on these shorts? I think the answer to that is no. I don't think you have to. I think you can. If you are interested in shorts, you can take that route. But my opinion is that it's not a requirement to make things work on YouTube. And I think those longer videos, and I like to sit somewhere probably between 10 and 20 minutes for the average video. I've made hour-long videos. I've made longer than that podcast, 90-minute podcast videos. But I find that I really like the ability to get into the depth, sometimes even get into the weeds on things, right? Get a little bit more into things than I maybe have to be getting, but it's helpful to me, right? Or I find that it could be helpful to some portion of the people watching the videos. I don't love a really boom, boom, boom video that just is only the hits and it's 3 minutes long. I don't think people actually digest information that way. I know that I don't. And I also like a little bit more context to certain ideas, right? I want to hear somebody else's opinion on something that has to do with the weeds, right? And I think that I will learn more because I'm consuming a video that's doing that. While the long form video, that creates more depth, right? With a single viewer, right? One watch, they will decide more likely that you're somebody they're interested in, right? Curious about working with maybe, just off of one video because it's 20 minutes. It's not a 30-second video where you're giving, surface level information about, why you need a real estate agent or something like that. I tend to find a lot of short form content kind of cringy because I'm like, it's so boilerplate, it's so basic. But what I love about YouTube is the depth, right? How deep you can go into a single topic because you basically have an unlimited amount of time to talk about it. One thing that I particularly love is the subscribe button. There's a guy named Jack Conte. He owns Patreon. He also plays in a band called Pamplemousse. and probably does other things. Pamplemousse, sorry. Pamplemousse is how you actually say the word, I think. And he has a video out there called The Death of the Subscriber. It's actually like a talk that he did. If you're curious about YouTube, I think it's a really good watch. He talks about the importance of the subscriber and how the subscribe button changed his life forever. And I believe that. I think that sort of opt-in is huge. I think TikTok doesn't do that. I don't know anybody who really actively follows people on TikTok. I'm sure there are people who do, but I think TikTok doesn't really care. You can say, I'd like to follow this person, but they're just gonna show you that For You page all the time anyway, right? So I don't want to hope that the algorithm catches on to my thing, which still YouTube does that, but I want to have some level of autonomy if somebody chooses to look at my page, somebody chooses to subscribe to my page, and then we can continuously send them every video that I make. And that subscribe button gives you depth. You get to spend so much time with somebody before they might ultimately reach out to you, months or years. I've literally had people who've been like, I've watched you for 3 years, moving to the Twin Cities or moving to Denver or Salt Lake City. It's been on my radar for years, and so I've been watching you. And that level of depth is crazy, and I don't think there's anything like that pretty much anywhere else. Maybe a blog, yeah, if somebody's really good at blogging, maybe that could be, somebody would follow that, but I think there's nothing like that on the internet. Instagram, it's short-term content, and it's short clips, mostly. TikTok, mostly the same. I think those connections are cool and can be really, really powerful and can be the only thing that somebody chooses to do. But in my opinion, YouTube and that depth and that like almost level of friendship that you have with the creators, which would be you in this situation, I think that's almost impossible to beat. I love that there's a long tail of content. Some of my best videos on my biggest channels are literally 3 or 4 years old, and they still, month after month after month, are the best videos. Honestly, it blows my mind that it still works that way. Even if I've remade a video and have like a 2024 version of it, very often the 2022 version of it, still the SEO on it or just that like attention that it has more momentum, and so it does better. But the long tail of the content is pretty insane and really, really powerful. I think about it as every video you make, imagine that you're hiring an employee who can go out to work for you. Some employees are gonna suck, right? They're gonna fizzle out, they're not gonna get many views, right? They're not gonna do much work like an employee, but some are gonna be incredible, and they're gonna carry the weight and make up the slack for the employees that you make, the videos that you make that don't do that well. And I've thought about it like this way for a long time, that my channel is a magnet, right? You've heard of the term lead magnet, I'm sure. Before I even really was thinking about that term, I think about the channel as a magnet. It's a magnet for potential clients to be looking at. And just having a channel with no videos, well, that's a worthless magnet, right? It's one of those magnets that just like doesn't seem to stick to anything, right? But the more mass you give that magnet, the more employees, right, for lack of a metaphor that works with the magnet idea, but the more videos you make, the larger that magnet gets. Even if some of those videos kind of are stinkers, right? They're still like a tiny little on the side of a large magnet. And so the more and more videos you make, the larger that magnet gets and the more powerful it gets. And then my final favorite thing, and this is coming from a place where I have the luxury of saying this because I'm busy enough, but my favorite thing that I didn't know was my favorite thing about YouTube is that mostly the huge majority of people who reach out to us have decided that they're with us, right? They are on our team and they like us, right? Very, very few people work with us and then decide that we're not the right fit for them. So people get to vet themselves out of your world before even reaching out to you in the first place. And the last thing that I want to do is work with people who don't want to work with me. I've had a few situations like that where people I'm like, why are you working with us? And I don't want to do that. And one of the beautiful things about YouTube is that people can decide that they hate you and that you're a loser and that you're not the right fit for them. And so you'll never hear from them. Okay, that's all for this video. We got to check out.